Yeah.
So yeah, moving on to the next topic. Talking about the Sixers, new coach Doc Rivers. So guys, is the Sixers back to a top three contender? Where do you see? How far do you see these guys are going? Anyone want to take the floor over here? I'm gonna let you guys go.
I'm interested to see what Sebastian thinks about this.
The Sixers, because Sixers might take a spot.
Nah, first of all, I'm not okay. First of all, like the roster looks the same. To my knowledge, did they lose anyone? They didn't lose anybody.
I'll give you
They
the
lost
roster.
Richardson.
Okay, they lost Jay Rich and they brought in Seth Curry. So I think that helps a little bit, but then you lose on the defensive side also.
Yeah.
They also brought in Terrence Ferguson, Danny Green, Dwight Howard.
Matisse Thybulle is a guy to watch out for. I think he will get some minutes, especially under Doc. So
Matisse?
Matisse Thybulle, yeah. I think he's going to be
nice.
very good.
He's nice too.
I think he's going to be very good.
I just think that it's for me, the competition in the East has actually increased a lot. And like it's it's a lot, man. And even last year already, and you weren't even counting in Brooklyn last year. Now you got to account for Brooklyn being in it now and everything. Doc Rivers, we've had so many different discussions about that guy. Like, I know he's a great coach. I have a lot of respect for Doc Rivers, but also like ever since he won that ring, he hasn't really done much. And his best chance last year with the Clippers, it was a whole like internal chaos. There was also chaos going on over there in Philadelphia last year, because with Ben Simmons and not being necessarily like healthy throughout the whole time, and then the same with Joel Embiid, and should they trade one of them? They're still having these discussions, but obviously they're staying put for now. All that to say, I don't think they will crack the top four in the East personally.
Ooh.
Like that's
what if everything works well? Coaching is going well.
I still don't,
everyone is healthy.
Because
everyone is healthy.
Well, it doesn't matter, because if it works well for all the other teams also, they're still not cracking the top four. So like,
hold on.
That's how I see it.
Coach want to say something. He doesn't. He don't agree.
That's how I see it.
Coach, he said it's not. He's not. They're not gonna crack top four. What do you think about that?
So, I think the three most important positions in a basketball team that you have to have is, one, the point guard position, two, the center position, and three, having a coach. I think bringing in Doc Rivers, I know we've been giving Doc Rivers a lot of heat, but Doc Rivers, to me, I like Doc Rivers. I think it's challenging to have, because he's been giving like the short end of the stick for a lot. I think he did a good job. I think at a certain point, it's just about having the players motivated enough and having them to respect you enough. So I think he commends that respect with Ben Simmons. He commends that respect with Joel Embiid. And, Doc is the type to like to have that old school back to the basket type of game, high, low, even though it doesn't really work in the NBA. I think when you add shooters like Seth Curry, Danny Green, I think it could be very, very interesting. The key to this is going to be, is Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid going to be on the same page? Because those are going to be your best two players. A lot of people are going to be able to are going to see Ben as not being able to shoot. He's going to have to play off of Joel Embiid a lot. So they're going to have to be on the same page. I think they go top three, but we'll get to that later.
You said top three, right? You heard it.
We'll get to that later.
What do you think, Mike?
Well, for me,
you wanted to know the roster too.
No, I have the roster. I know who they signed. And there's still this looming thing about James Harden and everything. But as the roster's constructed now, like it's been like the same thing for 3 years straight now for the 76ers. Potential, they could win a championship. Otherwise, they could bounce out in the first round. That's the 76ers for you. Truth, bro. That's the 76ers for you, man. It's just the fact that I do think they slightly improved. Tobias Harris has had his best season under Coach Doc. I don't think Doc needs he made this statement about saying that he doesn't need Ben Simmons to necessarily shoot. I think Doc is sorely mistaken about the era of basketball that he's going into right now, like where he had Rondo as his main, like at his point guard, and Ray Allen and KG and Paul Pierce. Like we just saw Rondo like raining threes in the finals. Like, what are you talking about, man? Like it's a different era right now. So you need Ben Simmons to shoot. And until Ben Simmons shows me that he could shoot shoot threes, like they're not going to win a championship. Even with all that being said, I still have the 76ers cracking top three. If they stay healthy. If they stay healthy, it's either Philly or Brooklyn. It's gonna be interchangeable for me. Like it's either they end up top three or they end up bottom 6-8. Like that's the 76ers for me.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Okay. One more thing. Say Harden heads there. Who does the 76ers give up for him? Like, how do you change that team from this? I don't know.
I put a lot of thought into that one.
Listen, Houston is not giving Harden to Philadelphia unless they get back Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid.
Yeah, that's
one of them is gotta go, but that's why
if Philly's smart, they will send Joel Embiid out. I mean, not Joel. I'm sorry. They will keep Joel and they will send Ben Simmons to Houston, and whoever else they want Matisse with them, take them, whatever. Like they should do that. Again, like we're talking about James Harden here, okay? But again, and we also have the whole Daryl Morey factor here. I don't know if Houston would even. I think they would take a less valuable offer from somewhere else just not to give Daryl Morey James Harden over there in Philadelphia. That's just my personal opinion. So like y'all can carry on now.
You're gonna send his ass to the Knicks.
What? I'll take it. I'll take it.
You see how rich
you mean? What you mean? I'll take it. Go the whole team. Get Knox out of here. Like, yo, I'm taking it.
That's exactly, that's piggybacking on what I was saying before. Is I think if, for instance, if let's say James Harden goes to Philly, you trade Ben Simmons, right? Before this whole John Wall trade, I would have said that team would have been perfect. You had Ben Simmons to Houston. Ben Simmons had all this space. You don't have to shoot because you're surrounded by shooters. You get what I'm trying to say? Your point guard can just go downhill, get to the basket. But now it gets a little bit tricky. But if they trade, if James Harden goes to Philly, could be very interesting, guys. Very interesting.
We're gonna see. All right, moving on. Guys, we're going to the West. Going back to LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Lakers, back-to-back, guys?
For me, no question. No question. For me, no question, man. And yeah, I mean, it's been documented on this podcast, man. I'm not the biggest LeBron fan, but I'm just looking at that team, man. And that's like, bro, come on, man. Like, yo.
They got better.
Like LeBron could chill for the first 2 months. AD could chill for the first 1.5. I mean, hopefully every other team stays healthy, but I like what Portland did in the West. Denver, I don't remember who they let. I think they
let Grant go. Yeah,
Jeremy Grant was
to
gone.
the Pistons.
So they lost Grant. They lost Torrey Craig too. That's a big piece.
So I don't know if any team like actually got any better to actually stop them outside of Portland. Maybe if the Dallas Mavericks stay a little bit healthy, who knows, with another year under Luka's belt. But yeah, for me, like I'm going to bed every night. I'm going to bed every night thinking like, oh yeah, LeBron's about to bag his 5th ring.
What about you, Sebastian?
My
bad.
Anyone that says no, I'm gonna keep it real. Anyone that says they don't think they're gonna, 2-peat or whatever, go back to back, whatever term you want to use for this, like you might as well be deemed a hater because they still got LeBron James, they got Anthony Davis, they got the top 2, they got 2 of the top 1, like top 5 players in the NBA, like, they're together. and you add a Montrez to come give you energy like in the paint and all
And
that.
Dennis Schroeder.
I don't know how the hell they managed to get Montrez and Schroeder. Like yo, like it's not fair.
They want to
Like,
reign, bro.
listen, I saw the notification come up like with all these signings, and I'm sitting at home and I'm like, yo, this is just not fair. I'm like, this is not fair. And then they're talking about, I saw something else talking about Davis taking time because they want to lure Giannis to come. I'm like, come on, LeBron, like you are exaggerating, man. Like you do it everywhere you go. You got the top team in the NBA. Like enough, you got good enough. I don't know, but obviously I think they're gonna go back to the finals. If they make it to the finals, I guess depending on who they play in the finals, I would hope that it would be the Heat. But I think because we didn't really improve our roster that much ourselves, you know, like nothing new has happened here. And I don't know. Lakers are going back to back, y'all boys. That's easier said right here.
Coach,
especially in this type of scenario that we have as a season, because we're playing 72 games this year, right?
Yeah.
Which means that depth has to be a factor with all the teams, right? Because especially now, you're looking at teams are not going to want to, teams are going to load manage, like period. It's going to be a different time. Yeah, but I think the ultimate goal is definitely going to be the playoffs. So you're looking at the Lakers. Like yesterday, the Lakers bench beat the Clippers. Let that sink in. Dennis Schroeder started the game. Montrezl Harrell started the game. They have this new guy. No, I'm saying new guy, but he was on the roster. THT, whatever. Yo,
they love him over there.
Him, and they beat the Clippers. Psychologically, everybody's saying that the Clippers are going to be there at the end with the Lakers. Do you know how of a psychological advantage that is? Just having your bench beat the starters of the other team. Clippers started Kawhi. Clippers started Paul George. Clippers started Patrick Beverly. Same rotation.
Did they play full minutes? Like what was? I didn't
think
watch.
I'm not taking full stock in that.
Kawhi played 14 minutes.
Preseason. Yeah, I'm not taking full stock in that because it's preseason. But it's a fair assessment at the end of the day. But damn, I lost my train of thought about what I wanted to say about the Clippers. They're losers at the end of the day.
They're losers at the end of the day. I'm really going to say something for him.
I really want to see what approach like these guys will have. Like someone like a Patrick Beverly, right? As we were mentioning him earlier. Like I want to know what approach he's gonna have this season. You know, like,
Paul George said is it. He's back.
I'm on they asses.
That's Paul George. Okay, Paul
He
George.
said after that contract too that he signed and extended, he said he owes this team a ring.
Listen,
guys.
listen. He has to say these things. Like, what else are you gonna say?
He has to.
What are you gonna say?
End of the day, you get Dennis Schroeder, you get Montrezl Harrell, you get Wesley Matthews, and I hear there's talks about possibly as soon as the OKC buys out Ariza, they're gonna get Ariza.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So
oh my God,
that team is stacked. Like
when they're trying to sign.
And by the way, if we're being completely honest, let's not forget that they just added Marc Gasol. Can we not forget about that?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and they're adding power.
That is super underrated pick. Underrated.
This is the point that I wanted to make. I don't think they'll probably do much load management per se because we're still in the pandemic. Deep. Yeah, and we're still in the pandemic, so obviously, like there's no bubble. So I'm expecting a few players to probably, catch COVID, maybe, and they have to take time off away from the team to self quarantine and stuff like that. I mean, we don't know what the vaccine is like, what that situation is going to become next year, but. And I think they're going to be playing 3 games per week or something like that. So I'm not. They could load manage if they want. Like I said, LeBron could kick back.
He could chill.
I actually think it should be the opposite. Because if you think about it, considering the fact that there's COVID and everything involved, right? Think about how it happened last year. The NBA got cut short at some point. They're like, all right, well, we'll reach this point. Boom, we're going to there's going to be this much regular season left. And then we're going to go into the playoffs. So I think it's in every team's interest to actually go hard in the beginning and try to put yourself in the best position standing.
And chill after?
No, there's no chilling, bro. This year, there's no chilling. You can't chill.
There's
no chilling. And we're talking about load
All-Star
management. There should be like 3 or 4 teams that should be even talking about load management. Like, right? Like, there's teams that were like deep in the playoffs last year. Like, everyone else, they got teams that have been off for a year.
Right.
That's a fact.
But that's the thing. That's why it's like
that's
why it's two extremes, right? Like you're looking at the Lakers. The Lakers ended their season like about 70 something days ago, and then they're playing again, right? So that's a lot of wear and tear, like they call it, on the body, right? And you're looking at teams like Atlanta who haven't played for almost like 200 plus days, right? Coming back into action very quickly can be both ways. So it's like it's a toss up both ways, you know.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I agree.
That's why I'm saying, especially this season, depth is important. So you're looking at the teams that have the most depth. Those are the ones that are going to have the most success.
That was my excuse for the Bulls sucking last night. They've been
All
off
right.
they've been off for a year.
Off for too long. Huh?
So we forgot how to play basketball. All right, guys. So moving on to the next one. That's the one that you guys are gonna choose your teams and stuff like that. You guys are gonna give me your top 4 for both the East and the West in the NBA. And you don't have to. It doesn't have to be like in order, but if you want to give it in order, that's fine by me. Anyone who's ready can start. I know like Sebastien was kind of like
how do y'all want to go? How do you want to go about this? Does everybody want to give their ones?
Like
Everybody gives their two?
Can we go like one side first? Let's not just each give East and West. Let's go East first.
Let's go East.
All right, East. Let's go East first,
right? And then we'll go West after.
All right, go East. Top 4.
Well, I guess Bucks won. Can I go first?
Yeah.
I'll go first. I'm gonna be honest here. I think Bucks 1, Celtics 2, Miami Heat 3, Brooklyn 4, Toronto 5. I gave a top 5. I can't stop at 4. I gave a top
Bucks
5.
first.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you like 20 seconds to just tell me why Bucks first.
Because I think I don't think they made enough moves to like make Giannis want to sign like long term. But I think that they actually got like slightly better, in my opinion. I think Drew Holiday is going to bring a lot to that team, playing over there with Giannis. And this, again, they've been number 1 in the East for like, it's a regular season team. You don't have time to prepare for them. You don't have time to like, think about how you're going to stop Giannis for like the whole game. So I think they're going to be number 1 if they stay healthy. And like I said, I think they improved the roster slightly in terms of mesh, because these guys they had before were just, they were washed, like so I think it's better now. That's my opinion.
All right, he got Bucks first, Celtics second, the Heat third, fourth was, who was the fourth?
Brooklyn.
Team again? Brooklyn, and then fifth, Toronto Raptors. All right, Coach, I think you're ready right now. Yeah, you got it.
I'm gonna let Mike go first.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you go first.
Much respect for you for putting Toronto top 5, Sebastien. For me, I think
I put him fifth. I don't know. I can't. They lost Ibaka. It might be tough for them, but
they lost Ibaka. They lost Marc Gasol.
Yeah, but they still have Van Fleet just got paid. He might. Hey,
I mean, shit. I'll send you $10 if you're right. For me, I think this year the Celtics move up to being the number 1 seed. I think the Bucks are gonna slide down to being number 2. At 3, I have the Sixers or Brooklyn interchangeable, and as a 4th seed, I have the Miami Heat. That is.
So you got Heat at 5. That's where you got them, because you're.
No.
Yeah,
like I said, I think
no.
Like I said, I think it's either the Sixers end up top 3, or they're gonna end up in the bottom 6 or 8. Like that's what I see. There's not gonna be any in between for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either you crack it or not.
And then for Brooklyn, I think it's either like they start off the season and everything's a success, and they really end up like grinding out a top 4 seed, or they have like issues figuring out the kinks, and like Steve Nash saying that Mike D'Antoni's going to direct the offense and Jack Vaughn's going to direct the defense. And shout outs to Jason Concepcion. He was like, Steve Nash is going to be conducting the vibes.
I love that.
That's what I'm saying.
Because we know he ain't coaching. So it's gonna depend. It's gonna depend on how they figure out the chemistry between them and see how Brooklyn does their first season. Yeah,
that's a fair top 4. Coach, are you ready now?
Yeah. Okay, so I think number 1, I'm gonna go with the Milwaukee Bucks. I think Drew Holiday, DJ Augustine, Bobby Portis as a backup center is very good. I think Torrey Craig's a good addition, and also they added Brent Forbes, so I think that's a good stretch. It has a little more depth to their perimeter. I'm assuming if everything goes well, I think the Brooklyn Nets have a lot of weapons, and I'm looking at it from a depth perspective, right? I think you add Jeff Green, you add Landry Shamet. There's this guy, I don't know, he's wearing number 7. I don't know if you guys remember him. He was considered to be like one of the top players in the NBA.
Easy money sniper.
That's what I'm saying. And don't forget,
he have a burner account?
Is that him?
And don't forget, also, I think as a backup, they still have Spencer Dinwiddie, who was playing very well. I think the X factor for the Nets, I'm just explaining the reason why I went with the Nets so high. I think the X factor for the Nets is the fact that they have interchangeable bigs at the center position. I think whether you hate him or not, I think DeAndre Jordan gives you enough rim protection. I think that helps your defense a little bit. I think Jared Allen is a good player. Okay, so for third place, I'm going with the 76ers. I'm going to go, you add Seth Curry, you add Danny Green. Danny Green.
Can we stop saying Danny Green's name like it's like...
I think, but you know what? I think he's there enough for you to be, you have to respect him. And I think that's, if you look at how Embiid and Simmons, listen.
They don't like Danny Green, man.
No, I know, but I think you have to respect him as a shooter. Okay?
Yeah, I was telling them that
like guys are gonna you have to guard him. Like you're not gonna sag off Danny Green. And if you're looking at your 2 best players, I think what really matters is who's around them. So if you could surround them by shooters, right, it helps a lot.
If Danny Green is in a good stretch, it's just gonna help the Sixers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're imagining
Redick really stayed in New Orleans.
Who?
JJ Redick.
No, he's in.
He stayed. Isn't he still? He's still a free agent, no?
Is he?
He signed.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure he's a free agent. If I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that.
But yeah, coach is not done. Sorry, I forgot.
I think. I think for me, number 4, it's gonna be a toss-up. Miami and Boston. I think it's gonna be a toss-up. Like,
why do you have the Celtics sliding so low?
They haven't added anyone.
I'm looking at but to me that's it. And I think like also as a backup, I think Brad Wanamaker gave him good minutes at the backup. And me, I'm big on depth, guys. I'm big on depth. Depth. I think Tatum
got the bag though. That's unlimited haircuts.
Yeah.
What about adding Tristan Thompson? Does that help your rim protection?
You see, that's my thing. I'm looking at point guard position and I'm looking at center position. I think you have enough productivity at those both positions.
Okay.
Personally, just enough to be reliable. You know? Because Tristan Thompson can't, like, he's not all-star or whatever, but like he's gonna give you like 10 rebounds. He's gonna rebound the basketball, you know. So that's just where I'm coming from.
All right, guys. And what was the next question, Mike? I'll give you the floor for that one. Like,
we didn't do the West.
He's excited.
That's the one I want to hear. I want to hear what Jock wants to say about the West. That's what I want to hear.
Coach, you can start the West.
Hold on. Richie, you're not giving yours? You're not giving your top 4?
Since you guys asked. Well. First, for number 1, I'm going with the Nets. They're already experienced. Like I think Kyrie Irving and KD is ready. They don't need that much to know each other. I don't think so because they're 2 superstars. It's fine. And like Coach was saying, they have so many other great players. Spencer is a good backup. You have Levert. You guys didn't mention Levert. He's playing well.
Yeah.
He should have ended. Actually, he should have ended the Portland last season. I don't know why he didn't go to the rack because he can. And they got Harris stretching the floor, and they got two good centers. They added Shamet. I think
Landry Shamet.
Shamet.
They're deep.
So I'm going with them number 1. Number 2, I'm going with the Bucks. Number 3, Celtics, and number 4. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Number 1 is the Nets. Number 2, the Bucks. Number 3, the Sixers, and number 4, I'm going with the Heat.
So Celtics are what, 5?
Celtics is gonna alternate with the Heat. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Celtics did a good job adding a rim protector.
Let me just make sure all of y'all got the Sixers above the Celtics and the Heat. All of y'all.
Sebastian,
Okay. No, if everything is going well,
laughing
if everything is going well.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Everything goes well.
Notes, like,
bro, if everything goes well, it's a solid squad. If it doesn't go well,
Sebastian rubbing it in our faces.
Come on, don't take it personal, Sebastian.
No,
at least you're in the playoffs. At least you're in the playoffs.
No, I think it's
Sebastian's taking notes.
I think it's highly disrespectful to all those other teams, not even just Miami.
Today is December 12th.
For you to put the 76ers above the Heat and
the Celtics?
That's
regular season. It don't matter. Comes playoff time, if they don't do anything special, they're gonna get knocked out. Like the Celtics
we're talking about their best player is someone who has shot, what is it, 23 pointers in his whole career?
Yeah, and he's
made like 3 of them. And this is in this era of basketball, and this is what we're talking. Okay.
Hopefully it goes well, Sebastian. But that's what I have. What do you want me to do?
I just gotta remember.
Coach, let's go with the West.
The West.
Yeah.
It's a lock. Lakers number 1. I'm going to Lakers number 1. This was hard, guys. For the sake of being able to dominate, again, this is the key right here. Having a good coach, being able to dominate the point guard position, being able to dominate the center position. I think Denver, I would go Denver number 2. I think number 3, you cannot miscount Portland. I think Portland, you add Robert Covington, Enes Kanter, Rodney Hood, Yusuf Nurkic is healthy. Rodney Hood.
He was there already, though. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying he was injured.
He's back.
He was injured. Nurkic, Derrick Jones Jr., Harry Giles. Yo, like, I think Portland is. And guys, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to say this here, just so we have the receipts. I would not be surprised if this is a Dame Lillard MVP season. I would not be surprised.
Hot take.
And number 4, I'm going to go with the Clippers. I think them losing Trez, them losing JaMychal Green, them losing Shamet hurts their bench. What made them strong was they had the bench mob. So I think Clippers would slide all the way down to number 4.
Number 4. Yeah, Sebastian. Let's see what you got. I know you got the Lakers number 1. I'll let got number 2.
I'll let Mike go.
Mike, let's go.
For me, Lakers is another season of lock number 1. For me, I don't think losing the bench mob is necessarily a bad thing. Like, I think losing Montrezl Harrell is very bad for the Clippers. But the other guys, like, I feel like the Clippers needed to thin the fat a little bit. Make sure that, like, a lot of the offense is really predicated around, like, Paul George and Kawhi, and like I felt like when these other guys came off the bench, like, they really didn't know. Like, it was like, I don't want to step on anybody's toes or something like that, when, Lou Will should really be dominating a lot of times. Like, I didn't really see that in the playoffs. So I'm still going to keep him at number 2. I have Dallas going up to, like, as high up as a 3. And for me, Portland is going to round up the top 4. Like, I really like what they did with their roster. Another hot take I'll say about Portland is that I wouldn't be surprised if they move CJ McCollum.
CJ.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that.
Either they move him like as a trade piece, or like they bench him and he becomes a 6-man for their team. Like so like just to give him more of a defensive identity. So like that's just a hot take. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen or anything like that. But I think Denver lost a little bit too much for me. So, but then again, I could be wrong.
All right, Sebastian, what do you have for your top 4?
All right, so I got Lakers locked in as number 1. I was shocked that Coach said this, put Denver at 2, because that's where they are on my list. Also, I was actually hyped when he said that, because I actually think Denver's gonna have a very, very good season this year. It was after that. That's when it got tough for me, right? Because I want to leave the Clippers at 3, because they still have Kawhi, and that's really and PG, and like. I'm gonna leave the Clippers at 3. I got Portland at 4, and then I put the Mavs at 5.
Okay.
But I got the Suns. Like the Suns are right after them.
We're gonna talk about the Suns.
Yeah, that's my dark horse. That's
what I was. Sorry to cut you guys off. So that's why I was thinking about when it came to the Clippers, like if you take away Kawhi, do you think Paul George is going to be able to take over games like that? Because Kawhi has shown that he's not really worried about the regular season. So that's why I'm saying, like, there's a chance that last year, I find there's a lot of games that these guys, they came off the bench and won for them. Personally, that's what I found. I found that Montrez would have like games where he would have like 20 and 15, 20 and 12, and then that would like win games for them. But now you're in a situation where you don't have that depth. So is Kawhi going to play? I'm just assuming that Kawhi is not. Personally, I'm just going based on my experience, right? I'm just assuming that Kawhi, instead of playing 70 games, Kawhi's going to play like 58, 55, But now with a shortened season, every win becomes that more crucial. So I think that's an interesting dynamic where they might end up finishing 4th, or they don't want to, because who are you facing in the second round? The Lakers. If you finish 4th, you don't want that.
Yeah, but what did they say? I think sorry, before you cut round off, Rich. They said the season's going until like what, May, the regular season?
I think that's what they said.
Yeah.
I would have to
because they're still taking a break in between All-Star week, but there won't be any All-Star games. And I think don't quote me on this, but they said it's like 3 games a week for most teams.
There's also teams that, I don't know if y'all noticed that in the schedule, but they're going to be playing, like, some teams are going to be playing each other like
back to back,
back to back. I think there's like 3 games in a row. So I think it makes it very interesting, because you kind of have like a small, like a playoff series in between,
knowing your teams
in the middle of the regular season. I think it's very dope.
The reason behind that is because they're gonna make the teams that are in the same divisions, right, go against each other, division conferences, just to create that season. Exactly. So that if I could win 3 games against the Clippers, that separates, because they're now the season is going to be sped up. It's going to be a little bit faster, where it's going to be like they're going to try to create that separation by having those teams play against each other, like you said, back to back a little bit more.
All right, guys. So we're going to round up a little bit. So one final question is, so it was like, what was the question again, Mike? It's a sleeper pick, and then to win the championship, and the most to surprise you?
Yeah, the team that will surprise you this year.
All right, what do you guys have?
Let's go. All right. So where we going any conference?
Any conference.
Yeah.
Any conference? Okay. I really like the Atlanta Hawks. I really, really like the Atlanta Hawks. Guys, I think not that they're going to win the championship, but I think the Atlanta Hawks, if they finish in the top 4, I would not be surprised.
Oh,
okay.
That's a
now the reason behind.
Ooh, it came out of nowhere.
Is it? Did you guys see who they added?
No, I know. Yeah, but it's still hot take.
Because think about it, Chris Dunn. You get Chris Dunn, Rondo.
Don't mention Chris Dunn.
Yeah.
That's
a lot of pain from the Bulls. Yeah. Bogdanovich is a good player, but Clint Capella didn't play last year either.
Yeah, for sure. Like no, they're a very good team though.
Danilo Gallinari. I think it's a very interesting team, and I like. Are we going? So I'm doing one in East, one in West. You mentioned it, or I
Yeah,
missed it.
one just the NBA. Yeah, not East and West, like everything together.
NBA.
Yeah.
Okay. I like Atlanta. I don't want to steal your shine. I don't want to steal your shine. I'll let you talk about them, Seb. But yeah, go say your team. I don't want to say it, but
Who's Sebastian?
I know which
Sebastian,
team.
let's go.
The
I'll let
Heat
you-
is your
I
Heat is your
personally-
surprise pick.
Nah, I personally think that the team that's I don't think it should even surprise anyone really, but I think they're gonna make a lot more noise than people even expect them to. Is the Suns.
Ding ding ding.
I wanted
the
to
one.
put them in my top 5, but the West has, I'm so tired of like people disrespecting Dame, so it was like hard for me not to put him up there and everything like that. But I think the Suns are gonna make a lot of noise this year, y'all boys. I think the Suns with DeAndre Ayton, you got Devin Booker, and then you finally put a point guard next to him, and who is it? It's the point guard. It's Chris Paul. I think it's gonna be. Wow, like I think it's gonna be a nice. I hope Chris Paul stays there too, like for a couple of years, doesn't pull off like OKC, and yeah, that's my. I don't even want to say surprise, but I think that's my team that I'm gonna be low key rooting for. Besides the Heat, obviously in the NBA this next year.
Like if Chris Paul dragged non-shooters to like almost like a game 7 with Houston. Like what he's gonna do with Devin Booker.
I love Devin Booker.
You know what he's gonna do with Devin Booker.
I can't wait to see that duo on the court together.
And he's never played with like a point guard that was able to like shoot and stretch the floor and command attention like that. If you really think about it,
I feel like
Bledsoe's not that guy. Bledsoe's not that guy.
Who else did they add? They added someone else. Did they add someone else? I feel like they added
they took a player from you, Jay Crowder.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, there's someone else. I'm like, yeah,
Jay Crowder.
Ding, 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 ding. Depending on that one hurt a little bit. But depending on how because if you think about it, Jay Crowder had a very good season last year, and unfortunately, he kind of like his shooting percentages went down a little bit in the playoffs, which is when you need it the most. And it's like I feel like the deeper we got into the playoffs, the lower it got, and I'm like, yeah, come on. But I love Jay Crowder, and I think he's gonna be a great addition over there too. So like it's like I said, that team is gonna make noise next year.
We'll see. What about you, Sebastian? Before we end up the show.
You mean Mike?
I mean, sorry, Mike.
For me, I think as far as the championship run goes, I think this is the year for Dame. Like if I were to pick any surprise, like this is Dame season, man. Like hopefully that team stays healthy so that they could be primed for a run. And a team that will surprise anybody. I'm ready for the hate. I'm ready for it.
Let's go.
The Knicks. I think the Knicks will surprise some people.
Surprise the Knicks fan.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised.
It was either the Knicks or Detroit because I really like Killian Hayes.
Yeah.
But I think the Knicks under Tibbs will be slightly competitive and be better than they've been.
You guys didn't hear from me.
They have they have been. Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're gonna round up. Me.
What about you, Rich? Yeah, man.
I'll say like the team
trying to run off the air.
The team that's gonna be
you don't want to
the team that's gonna be surprising.
So you don't be held liable at the end. You don't want to say nothing.
Leave the receipts. We need the receipts.
I wanted to say the team that's gonna surprise is I was gonna say the Hornets, and I know it's an odd pick, but I looked at the team. I see that
not that much.
Not that much.
They're solid.
Yeah. And for a championship, I would say. That's a tough one, but I would say the Denver Nuggets. I think the Denver Nuggets. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that, but it's hard, man. Seeing against the Lakers is very.
It's good. Yeah, that's good. That's why it would be a major surprise if they win that championship. But yeah, guys, I appreciate the time. We kind of running a little bit high on that one, but it was a good one. It was a good one. Thank you guys for coming to a new episode of NBA Edition. There's gonna be more of them, so get ready, guys, for more invites.
Thank you, appreciate it, man. Always a pleasure
being
with you guys.
All right, guys, peace.
All right.
Peace.